For many, the fight against climate change is the #1 challenge of this century. There's a drive to cut emissions, find technological solutions. More and more sectors are hopping on board the global movement to protect the planet. Well, not everyone. One industry is an exception to the rule: the aviation industry.
It is exempt from a lot of the normal climate policies we'd all be familiar with. So those would include emission standards for aircraft or taxes such as tax on fuel or sales tax.
It may try to keep a low profile, but aviation is increasingly in the spotlight for its climate footprint. Unlike other sectors, greenhouse gas emissions aren't decreasing. On the contrary, global air traffic is taking off. It's never been easier or cheaper to fly, and so more and more people are taking to the skies. Air traffic is expected to double by 2036. A boom in traffic means a boom in construction. 423 airports are being built around the world, 121 new runways, and 262 brand new terminals to transfer more and more passengers and merchandise. All this has an impact on the environment. Today, aviation accounts for 2% of global emissions, the equivalent of France. It's expected to cruise up to 20% in 2050. Critics say it's a ticking time bomb.
Aviation is the fastest way to climate crisis. The Paris Agreement cannot stay a mere declaration. It has to become a practice, and we really have to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and that means for the aviation sector that growth of aviation has to stop, and that means that airports cannot be continued to be built.
So is aviation the climate boogeyman? Well, it's the only sector, along with maritime traffic, not covered by the Paris Agreement, and that's just one of a long list of perks. Truth is, there is an agreement, codenamed CORSIA. Ratifying countries commit to limiting emissions by 2035 compared to 2020, but on a voluntary basis and with no obligation before 2026. In other words, it's not that turbulent. The main idea is to offset CO2 emissions by buying carbon credits. But critics say it's not enough.
The industry hasn't made the commitment to reduce its emissions, just stabilize them. The truth is, aviation does a lot less than other sectors. It's the free rider in the fight against global warming.
As a passenger, you too can counterbalance carbon emissions by paying a small amount on top of your ticket price. For example, a flight from Paris to New York with Virgin Atlantic produces 0.99 tons of CO2, the equivalent of driving 14,000 kilometers in a small car in town. If you pay an extra 25 euros, you can finance a wind farm in India or help plant trees in Malaysia. These days, the aviation industry is pushing the concept of carbon-neutral airports, decked out with solar panels, LED lamps, geothermal energy, and a trendy, environmentally friendly label to boot.
This is only the beginning. By 2020, all 21 Finavia airports will be carbon neutral. What we do is not really a choice, it's our duty.
Critics say it's a smokescreen. Airport activity, that's to say what happens at a terminal, only accounts for 5% of aviation emissions. The label doesn't include flights, which is a minor detail. Environmentalists have a simple solution: fly less and stop building airports. In France, the example of Notre-Dame-des-Landes near the city of Nantes has gotten a lot of attention, but there are similar standoffs in the UK, South Korea, Mexico, Indonesia, Bermuda. The anti-airport movement is global, and the law is getting involved. In 2017, a federal court in Austria banned the construction of a third runway at Vienna Airport, saying it was incompatible with the country's commitment to fighting global warming. The landmark ruling was overturned by Austria's top constitutional court, leaving the case pending. Can the aviation industry change its course and move towards cutting emissions?
Today what we are looking at is that a way to optimize the path of the plane in the sky and make their path shorter, especially on the arrival at the airport, to make sure that they they weight less, while the plane is taxiing on the ground by just using one engine instead of two, you're saving fuel. By better using the wind around the airports and facing the wind as the takeoff, you can save fuel. There's some startups that are working on the climb optimization to save again 10 to 15% fuel. Planes will take longer to take electric into account in their architecture. The energy density in a battery is about 10 times less than what you have with your gas tank. So you need much more batteries and in volume and in weight in an aircraft or a car to make it go the same distance.
It's in the interest of the aviation industry to sit back, relax, and fight climate change. In the future, planes will face rising temperatures, violent winds, sandstorms due to drought. These climate change-related events will affect planes and flights, so brace for impact.